So guys, it's been about a month and a half since we completed all the repairs on our cheap Crosstrek hybrid project car, and I've been living with it basically every day since. Daily driving it, checking fuel economy, and comparing and contrasting it with my non-hybrid 2013 Crosstrek. In today's video, we're going to talk about the fuel economy between the hybrid and the non-hybrid, talk about some of the differences in everyday life with the hybrid, and just an overview of the basic working of Subaru's first attempt at a hybrid vehicle. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So guys, again, it's been a little bit over a month, about a month and a half since I completed the repairs on the Crosstrek hybrid and have been driving it daily and living with it daily to compare and contrast it versus a non-hybrid Crosstrek, and just to learn a little bit more about the hybrid Crosstrek and the first generation of hybrids from Subaru, because I've never had hands-on experience with them because they're extremely rare and they just weren't a success for the company. Now, we've talked a little bit about the differences between the Crosstrek hybrid and the regular Crosstrek, but I don't know how in-depth we've gotten into it in the past. Now, we've got some videos up in the top corner of the original purchase of the car and talking about things on it and inspection, and we've got some videos on the repairs that we performed to this car as well. Now, quick overview again for those of you that want to know the difference between the hybrid and non-hybrid version of the Crosstrek in the first generation and the FB20 that powers it. So first off, you've got two batteries under the hood rather than one. You've got an alternator generator starter conglomerate, this big joker right here with dual belt tensioners on it and a wider belt than the traditional belt, because of the fact that when this car goes into auto start-stop mode, they use the alternator as a starter motor to crank the engine over. Now, this car does have a traditional 12-volt starter at the back like a regular Subaru does, but it uses this alternator generator starter conglomerates to start the engine from shifting from EV to combustion mode. We also have a difference in the air intake and the air box, because traditionally the air box is right here where the secondary battery is, but it's back here now because of having to shift things around in the engine compartment. Now remember, this is basically a hybrid system scabbered onto a traditional gasoline-powered Crosstrek. This was a very mild hybrid system. Now, basically, it's a glorified auto start-stop system. The engine will cut off and go to EV mode, as the display will show inside of the car, and it will propel itself in EV mode up to about 5 miles an hour, if you're lucky, before it starts the internal combustion engine back up once again. A big issue with this original Crosstrek hybrid is it's super underpowered as a hybrid. The electric drive motor that's in the CVT is only a 13 horsepower equivalent motor. Now, you compare that to a Toyota Prius, which has about a 50 to 60 horsepower electric motor. That's from memory, but I think it's about that. So this is super underpowered compared to even a Prius, of all jokes about a Prius. So it can't do much in full EV electric driving mode because of that super underpowered electric drive motor. It's more of an additional boost motor, so it actually helps when you are accelerating in conjunction with the gasoline engine rather than just being the primary propulsion method. So again, we've got the two batteries under the hood, the difference in the intake system and the alternator generator starter under the hood. And in the back of the car, we've got our big hybrid battery cell. Other than that, it's pretty much the same car we do have the difference in the CVT that we touched on. So traditionally we have a TR580 CVT. This is a TH58, if I recall correctly. I should have done my homework before I started filming, right? But anyway, so looking over the car, again, we got this car for a very cheap price, bought it out of Asheboro, North Carolina. Looking at it on the exterior, it's in really, really good cosmetic condition. No real dents, dings, or scratches. There's a couple little scratches right here though. One thing I just recently did to really make this car look a lot newer and a lot nicer and make it pop again was I used Cerakote on the plastics. The exterior plastics of the car were really sun faded, which happens to a lot of Subarus. But Cerakote, I'm not sponsored by them whatsoever. I'll link it down below for you. This stuff really does coat your plastics, brings them back that dark, deep black, and makes them look new again, and it sticks around for a very long time and doesn't really wash off like other products do. Now, I recently used it on my 2011 Outback and it looks like new again. I used it on my mother's 2014 Forester, and I used it on my 2013 Crosstrek before selling it, and it's really a great product for Subarus, especially with all the plastic body cladding and just revitalizing it, bringing it back to life and making the car look better. Now, one thing we had going on at the front of the car cosmetically was the grille was crushed in when I bought the car. Now, luckily, one of you subscribers sent me a brand new Crosstrek grille. All I had to do was pay shipping, and I greatly appreciate that because you saved me about $250, $300, if I recall correctly, compared to buying a brand new grille. Now, if we go to the inside, look at the interior of the car, it is a touring model, which means it is like a limited model with leather and all the amenities, and everything is really great in here. It's not a lot of wear for a 199,000 mile car. One issue we had with the interior was the steering wheel. The leather was starting to peel and crack, and it was leaving black specks in your hand. So we did a video where I put a VA STI steering wheel in here, and I kind of didn't want to lose that with this car when I sold it. So I went on eBay and I found a correct leather steering wheel for this car for about 35 bucks, and I couldn't beat that price, so I went ahead and ordered it and threw it in here. So we've got that going on for us. So as far as appearances are concerned, the interior of the car, the hybrid does have a higher rear cargo area floor. It is raised to accommodate that hybrid battery cell in the back, so you do lose a little bit of cubic feet, cubic inches of cargo space, but I honestly have not been hindered by that encroachment into the cargo area by the battery pack. It's not that big of a deal in my opinion. It hasn't really held me up or caused me any grief. Moving on to the interior of the car, the big difference between the hybrid and non-hybrid version is the gauge cluster. So we've got blue face gauges, and we've got a blue push button ignition button down here, and we've got 199,585 miles on the clock. The other difference is the hybrid status display up here. Now it shows you the high voltage cell in the back, it shows you the electric assist motor, and it shows you the internal combustion engine. And while you're driving, it shows you lines from each, showing when you are powered by the internal combustion engine, when you are being boosted by the electric motor, and when you are rigidly braking and recharging the battery, or when power is coming out of the battery to the motor. Now, other than that, everything is pretty much the same interior wise as a traditional gasoline powered Crosstrek. There's not much difference. So I have been living with this car for a month and a half roundabout. I've been driving it basically every day. I've been driving it on my normal driving habits and driving route and my normal accumulation of mileage. Now, one big thing that I've noticed with this Crosstrek hybrid is the fact that it doesn't get better gas mileage than the non-hybrid version I owned prior that had 233,000 miles on it. Now, the best mileage I've gotten so far, manually calculating off of a tank of gas, is about 28.5 mpgs, which is about what I got with the non-hybrid Crosstrek. I believe I was getting 27.5 to almost 29 miles a gallon. So there's really no fuel savings in this car for me. Now, majority of the time, I am driving highway. I don't do a lot of city driving. I live out in the country, so it's a lot of highway driving. Probably 85–90% of my driving is highway, and 10%–15% is city driving. Now, of course, you get the most out of a hybrid when you are in city traffic, slow speed, stop and go, where the hybrid system can actually activate and be useful. But in normal driving for me, there's been no advantage really to having this Crosstrek hybrid. Now, there's always to consider the fact that the hybrid has more complexity, more components, more things to possibly go wrong, and a higher repair bill associated with that because of the added complexity. Also, the hybrid weighs more and you have less cargo area slightly in the back due to the hybrid components. So it's kind of a lose-lose all the way around compared to a traditional gasoline-powered Crosstrek, which is why this car was such a flop for Subaru, both in the ways of being a sales loss. It didn't sell well. It wasn't taken off, flying off the dealer's floors. It wasn't really widely accepted by the consumer. It didn't really deliver better fuel economy. It was a hybrid in name more than anything because of the way the system worked and how they scabbered it onto a internal combustion engine Crosstrek, and it had a lot of downsides to it. So one of my huge complaints about this car is that it's not really a hybrid. It's a very mild hybrid. It's basically an auto start-stop system, as I said before, and there's a big problem with that being here in the South and in the summertime. The car still uses a traditional belt-driven AC compressor, so the engine rarely shuts down and goes to EV mode when the air conditioning's on and it's hot outside, because as soon as the engine cuts off, the AC cuts off. It doesn't have a hybrid electric-powered AC compressor like a Prius or other hybrid vehicles does, where it can supply cold air conditioning whether the engine is running or not. So that's a big downfall of this car. Now, would it get better fuel economy in the wintertime here because the AC is not on? Is the AC being commanded on preventing it from shutting down? I would assume so, but I'm not exactly sure on the exact operational theory of this hybrid system. I do know that it auto start stops. I know it powers up to 5 miles an hour under electric power before the gasoline engine kicks back on. I know it rigidly brakes and charges the battery through braking. And I know that the AC seems to hinder its ability to auto start stop. Now, I've driven, as you see, 235.5 miles on this tank of gas. And when we go to the screen that shows fuel savings, you can see I have saved 0.00 gallons on this tank because the car has not shut down and done a full EV mode. So again, just showing that there's not a big fuel savings and not really a reason to buy this car, and just shows why it was not a success for the company. Now, we did a video in the past about the 2019 and newer plug-in Crosstrek hybrid and how it was a loss leader too, looking at the average consumer, average length of ownership, average driving per mile or per year, and the cost, initial cost for the hybrid, a regular limited premium and base gasoline powered, and looking at the initial cost versus the fuel savings, and you were still in the hole like 10–12 grand after the 8 to 10 years with the hybrid. So it was a loss leader as well, unless you lived in an urban area and you had a very small, short commute, because you could still drive for that like 50-mile window, I believe, pure EV driving on the plug-in hybrid. And in that case, it was better for you. But as far as someone like me that does a lot of highway driving, the hybrid just doesn't make sense. Now, Subaru's new e-Boxer that's coming to the US finally, and the next generation of hybrid that they just talked about a month and a half ago with Mazda and Toyota at the summit they held, those are promising. Those have more Toyota influence and higher functioning hybrid systems in them, but this original hybrid just doesn't make sense and it's kind of a flop. So guys, with all of that said, that means that I have done what I needed to do with a hybrid Crosstrek. I learned more about the hybrid system in the first generation of hybrid from Subaru because There were so few of them, I'd never had hands-on experience with them. I got to make some repair videos for you viewers that have a hybrid Crosstrek and educate you a little bit more on it. I got to drive it and see real world what it's like living with a hybrid, because I've never owned a hybrid vehicle period before, much less a Subaru hybrid. And you know, I've checked off everything I need to check off. Everything has been repaired on the car, there's no issues with it, and it is time to put it up for sale. So for those of you that have been emailing me and commenting, asking if this car is for sale, it is now for sale. I'll leave a link to the Facebook Marketplace ad down below, so North, South Carolina, and potentially Georgia, Tennessee, viewers that are interested in getting the car, you know, you got to be within the realm of reason to come get it. Unless you want to drive across the country, that's on you. The car is for sale. I'm asking $8,500 or best offer. That's around what Blue Book is for the car. It might be a little high. Most of you have watched the videos and know how much money I have in the car. I'm not trying to scalp anybody. I'm just wanting to make a little bit of money on my time, effort, and what I did to it. So I do have room for negotiation in the price. Again, if you're interested, let me know. It is posted up. It has brand new Geolander Yokohama tires on it. It has basically brand new brakes. The engine was resealed with new timing chains and new PCM and programmed by the Subaru dealership about 10,000 miles ago. And we just did a valve body in the CVT, put an axle in it, a new grille in it, and I think that covers basically everything, but we do have video evidence of everything done to it in the past. So if you're interested, let me know. Hit me up on the Facebook ad or in the comments here, or email me at mrsubaru1387@gmail.com, whatever you want to do to get a hold of me if you're interested in picking up the car. Full disclosure, there has been 2 incidences in the last month and a half where it has thrown a code for the high voltage battery pack in the back. Now, this battery pack is 10 years old. This is 2014, it's 2024. It's probably about time for it to start giving some issues. Now, the code was for a spike in voltage on one of the cells. I'll put the actual code and definition out on the screen. I can't recollect it right now, but it has popped up twice. I've cleared the code every single time, and the hybrid system has worked flawlessly and it has stayed off for a good long time. It seems the issue is every once in a while when coming to a stop, if you are braking heavily, when the drive motor is in generation mode and generating power to power and charge that high voltage cell, sometimes it spikes the voltage and flags that code and shuts the hybrid system off. But otherwise, the car runs and drives and operates as to be expected. But I wanted to disclose that to you guys and anyone that's potentially looking to buy the car. I mentioned that in the ad as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe for future Subaru content. Hopefully you've enjoyed this series on the first generation of Crosstrek Hybrid. And again, if you're interested in purchasing it, let me know down below. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video.